You walk into the phone store. Not because your phone is broken. Your phone works fine. The battery still lasts most of the day. The screen isn't cracked. The apps run smoothly. But you got the text message, the email, the notification. You're eligible for an upgrade. So you walk in, and there it is, sitting on the display table under perfect lighting, the new model. It looks almost identical to the one in your pocket, but the sign says it has a better camera, a faster processor, a slightly different shade of blue. And the guy behind the counter sees you looking. He walks over. He smiles. You're eligible for an upgrade. Trade in your old phone and get $400 off the new one. You look at your phone. It's 18 months old. It works fine. But $400 off sounds like a good deal. So you say yes. You hand over your old phone. You walk out with the new one. You feel good. You feel like you made a smart financial decision. You got $400 off. But here's what just happened. Your 18-month-old phone, the one you just traded in, is worth $650 on the secondary market. If you had sold it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, you would have gotten $650 cash. But instead, you gave it to the phone company for a $400 credit. You just lost $250. And that $400 credit, it's not a discount. It's applied to a phone that costs $1,200. So you're still paying $800 out of pocket. You didn't get a deal. You paid $800 for a phone, plus you gave them a phone worth $650. Total cost, $1,450 for a phone that's worth $800 on release day. And in 18 months, you'll do it again. This isn't an upgrade. This is a subscription. You're not buying phones. You're renting the feeling of having the newest thing. And that feeling is costing you $87,000 over your lifetime. My name is Marcus, and on this channel, we expose the financial psychology that billion-dollar companies use to keep you broke. We don't talk about budgets or side hustles. We talk about the traps, the manipulation, the scams that are so normalized you don't even realize they're scams. Today, we're talking about the upgrade addiction, and by the end of this video, you're going to realize that new is the most expensive word in your vocabulary. Here's how this became normal. Because 20 years ago, people didn't upgrade. They bought a phone. They used it until it died. Then they bought another one. Phones lasted 4, 5, sometimes 6 years. And companies hated that. Because if you're using the same phone for 6 years, they're only selling you one phone every 6 years. That's bad for business. So they invented the upgrade cycle. They convince you that 18 to 24 months is when a phone becomes old. Not broken, not unusable, just old. And old feels bad. Old feels like you're falling behind. So they created the upgrade program, the trade-in incentive, the eligible for upgrade notification. And they made it feel like a reward, like you earned this. You've been a loyal customer for 18 months. Here's your prize, the opportunity to give us more money. But here's the psychology they're exploiting. It's called the Endowment Effect. When you own something, you value it less than when you're acquiring it. Your current phone feels ordinary. It's just your phone. But that new phone in the store, under the lights, on the pedestal, that phone feels special. That phone feels valuable. So you're willing to trade your current phone for the special phone, even though functionally they're almost identical. And then there's the sunk cost fallacy. You've already been paying $80 a month for your phone plan for 18 months. That's $1,440 you've already spent. Your brain doesn't want that money to feel wasted. So when they say upgrade for just $33 per month more, your brain thinks, well, I'm already spending $80. What's another $33? You're not thinking about the total cost. You're thinking about the incremental cost. And incremental cost feels small. Let me introduce you to Marcus. Wait, that's me. Let me introduce you to Tyler. Tyler is 26. Tyler bought his first smartphone when he was 18. He's been upgrading every 18 to 24 months since then. That's 5 phones in 8 years. Each phone cost him an average of $1,200. But Tyler didn't pay $1,200 up front. Tyler did the monthly payment plan, $40 per month for 30 months plus trainings. Tyler thought he was being smart. He was spreading the cost out, making it manageable. But here's what Tyler actually spent. Phone 1, $1,200. Phone 2, $1,200 minus $300 trade-in equals $900.
Phone 3, $1,200 minus $350 trade-in equals $850. Phone 4, $1,200 minus $400 trade-in equals $800. Phone 5, $1,200 minus $400 trade-in equals $800. Total, $5,550 over 8 years. That's $694 a year. That's $58 per month just on phones.
Now, let's look at what Tyler's older brother did. His name is Nathan. Nathan is 34. Nathan bought a phone 8 years ago for $800. He used it for 4 years. Then he bought another phone for $850. He's still using that one. Total spent $1,650 over 8 years. That's $206 per year. That's $17 per month. Same 8 years, same family, same income level. Tyler spent $5,550. Nathan spent $1,650. The difference is $3,900. That's $487 per year. Just because Tyler chased new and Nathan didn't. But here's the thing. Tyler's phone isn't better than Nathan's. Tyler's most recent phone has a better camera, marginally. Nathan's phone still texts, still calls, still runs apps, still works perfectly fine for everything Nathan needs. Tyler paid $3,900 extra for a slightly better camera that he uses to take pictures of his food, pictures that get compressed by Instagram anyway, pictures that nobody zooms in on. Tyler isn't paying for functionality. Tyler is paying for newness, and newness is the most expensive status symbol that exists. Now, let's take this out 30 years. Tyler is 26. Let's say he keeps upgrading every 18 months until he's 56. That's 20 more upgrades at an average cost of $900 per upgrade after trade-ins. That's $18,000 over 30 years. But we're not done, because Tyler's not just spending $18,000. Tyler is losing the opportunity to invest that money. If Tyler took that $487 per year that he's spending on unnecessary upgrades and invested it in an index fund that returns 8% annually, by the time he's 56, he'd have $59,000. Not $18,000, not $30,000, $59,000. Because compound interest doesn't just grow your money, it grows your money's money. Tyler isn't just buying phones, Tyler is deleting his retirement. But it's not just phones, because once you understand the upgrade addiction, you start seeing it everywhere. Tyler also upgrades his laptop every 3 years, his TV every 5 years, his car every 6 years, not because they're broken, but because there's a newer model. And the newer model has features. Features Tyler doesn't need, features Tyler won't use, but features that make the old model feel obsolete. Here's the truth. Technology hasn't gotten that much better. Phones from 5 years ago still work. Laptops from 7 years ago still function. TVs from 10 years ago still display images. But companies have convinced you that working isn't enough. They've convinced you that if it's not new, it's garbage. And that belief is making them billions while making you broke.
Let's talk about the people who designed this, because the upgrade addiction isn't an accident. It's a business model. And the people who perfected it are now the richest people on earth. Steve Jobs didn't invent the smartphone, but he invented the upgrade cycle. In 2007, Apple released the first iPhone. In 2008, they released the iPhone 3G. In 2009, iPhone 3GS. Every single year, a new model. Not because the technology was evolving that fast, but because annual releases create urgency, create FOMO, create the feeling that if you're not on the latest model, you're behind. And then Apple did something genius. They made the old model slower. It's called planned obsolescence. In 2017, Apple admitted they were intentionally slowing down older iPhones through software updates. They claimed it was to preserve battery life, but the effect was clear. Your 2-year-old phone that worked perfectly fine suddenly feels sluggish, suddenly feels old, suddenly feels like it needs to be replaced. That's not accidental aging, that's engineered obsolescence. Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, has said in interviews that the average iPhone user upgrades every 3 years, and Apple's entire business model depends on that. If people kept their phones for 6 years, Apple's revenue would be cut in half. So they engineer the desire to upgrade. Better cameras, new colors, faster chips, slightly thinner bezels. None of these things fundamentally change what the phone does, but they change how you feel about your current phone. And it worked.
Apple is worth $3.5 trillion. Not because their phones are 10 times better than they were 10 years ago, but because they convinced 1 billion people to replace a working phone every 2 to 3 years. You're not their customer, you're their subscription. Samsung does the same thing. Google does the same thing. Every tech company does the same thing because they learned from Apple. The profit isn't in selling you one great product. The profit is in selling you the same product over and over again with minor tweaks and convincing you that the minor tweaks are revolutionary. Tesla does this with cars. They release software updates that unlock features your car already had. Features that were built into the hardware, but they were disabled. And now, for $10 a month, you can unlock heated seats. Heated seats that are already in your car. You're not paying for the seats, you're paying for the software that turns them on. This is the future of everything. You won't own products, you rent features.
Now let's talk about the other upgrades, because phones are just the beginning. The upgrade addiction has infected every single product category in your life, and the cost is staggering. Let's look at cars. Mia is 31. Mia bought a Honda Civic in 2019 for $24,000. She financed it, $380 a month for 6 years. By 2025, she'd paid it off. The car works perfectly. 60,000 miles, runs great. But Mia sees the commercials. The new Civic has adaptive cruise control, lane assist, a bigger touchscreen, and the dealership sends her a letter. You're pre-approved for an upgrade. Mia goes to the dealership. They offer her $12,000 for her trade-in. The new Civic costs $32,000. That's $20,000 she needs to finance at $420 a month for 5 years. Mia thinks, I'm only paying $40 more per month than before. But here's what Mia is actually doing. She's taking a car she owns outright, worth $12,000, and trading it for a $32,000 loan. She's going from zero debt to $32,000 debt for lane assist. If Mia had kept her 2019 Civic for 10 more years, it would have cost her maybe $3,000 in maintenance. Instead, she just signed up for $25,200 in car payments. That's $22,200 more than she needed to spend for a touchscreen. Mia isn't upgrading her car, she's buying a new 5-year loan. Let's look at laptops. Kevin is 28. Kevin bought a MacBook Pro in 2020 for $1,800. It works fine. But in 2024, Apple released a new chip, the M4. It's 30% faster than Kevin's M1 chip. Kevin doesn't do anything that requires that speed. Kevin writes emails. Kevin watches Netflix. Kevin browses the internet. His laptop is perfectly adequate, but the YouTube tech reviewers say the M4 is revolutionary. So Kevin buys the new MacBook for $2,400. He sells his old one for $600. Net cost, $1,800. Kevin just spent $1,800 to do the same things he was already doing, slightly faster. Kevin's not upgrading his productivity. Kevin is paying $1,800 for the feeling of having the newest thing. And in 3 years, Kevin would do it again. Add it up. Tyler's phone upgrades, $487 yearly. Mia's car upgrade, $22,200 over 5 years equals $4,440 yearly. Kevin's laptop upgrade, $1,800 every 3 years equals $600 yearly. Total upgrade tax, $5,527 yearly. Over 30 years, that's $165,810. Invested at 8%, that's $679,000. You're not upgrading, you're erasing your financial future one new model at a time.
So how do you stop? Because I'm not going to tell you to never buy anything new. Sometimes upgrades make sense. If your phone screen is shattered and the battery lasts 2 hours, yes, upgrade. If your laptop takes 10 minutes to boot and crashes every day, yes, upgrade. But if the only reason you're upgrading is because there's a newer model, you're getting scammed. Here's the rule, the functionality test. Before you upgrade anything, ask yourself this one question. What can the new version do that the old version can't? And does that thing actually matter to my life? Not in theory, not in a commercial, in your actual, real day-to-day life. Example, the new iPhone has a 48 megapixel camera. Your current iPhone has a 12 megapixel camera.
Sounds like a huge difference, but here's the reality. You post photos on Instagram. Instagram compresses every photo to 1080 pixels. That's about 2 megapixels. You're paying $1,200 for 46 megapixels you will never use. That's not an upgrade. That's marketing. Example, the new car has adaptive cruise control. Your current car has regular cruise control. Adaptive cruise control adjusts your speed based on the car in front of you. Sounds great, but you commute in the city. You barely use cruise control. You're paying $20,000 extra for a feature you'll use twice a year. That's not an upgrade. That's a scam. Here's the second rule, the 50% rule. Before you upgrade, the new version needs to be at least 50% better in a measurable way. Not 10% faster, not slightly prettier, 50% better. If it's not 50% better, keep what you have, because anything less than 50% is just newness, and newness isn't worth $1,450. Here's the third rule, the doubles rule. Don't upgrade until your current device is at least twice as old as the expected lifespan. If a phone is expected to last 3 years, don't upgrade until year 6. If a laptop is expected to last 5 years, don't upgrade until year 10. By waiting twice as long, you cut your upgrade costs in half. Over a lifetime, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's your homework. Go through your house right now. Look at everything you've upgraded in the last 5 years. Your phone, your laptop, your TV, your car, your furniture. Write down what you paid. Now write down what the old version could still do. Be honest. How many of those upgrades were necessary? How many were just chasing new? That number you just calculated, that's how much you've paid for the word new. And new is the most expensive word in your vocabulary. Stop paying for it. Keep your money. If this video made you rethink your next upgrade, hit subscribe. Next video, we're exposing the invisible subscriptions and how you're paying $47 per month for services you forgot exist. See you there.